Could I explain the untapped liquidity lines? Yeah, of course. That's actually a big reason why I'm having this stream. We're going to really dive in and talk about liquidity because that's something that has just absolutely been killer in this market. Absolutely been killer. The last few days have been extremely easy to play. And the reason why is pretty simple. Liquidity. Okay, and that is the thing. That's what all these little squiggles are about. And that's what my stream is about, the squiggly lines, right? What's going on with these squiggles? Okay? Squiggles are so important. So if you go way back here, let me find the first squiggle I drew was right here, I think. Where's my first squiggles? I think that was it. Okay. Look at the squiggle. See that? I drew that way back here on the 23rd of December. Okay, so 27th. Look, come up here, come back down, retest, back above, come back down, crash. Okay, well, what's happened? This is what's happened, guys. Watch. The squiggles, trust the squiggles, go up, back down, come back up. Now, why are these squiggles so important? Okay, why? Because there's a reason as to why. It's not just some random lines I drew on here. There's not some random reason as to why it's working out exactly the way it's supposed to. Okay, there's a damn good reason. Okay, and now we've tapped all of them. Was my expectation? Well, go back to the squiggles. What happened on the squiggles? Come back up here. Now we go back down. Ooh, look at that. We are about to go down. Uh-oh. Terrifying, right? So is that what's going to happen? Very possibly. Okay, and we're going to talk about exactly why. What is so important about these damn squiggles? There, neat, cool, perfect. So these squiggles were drawn back here, guys. You guys see this? Now the question is why? Okay, we're going to talk about why these squiggles were drawn. What's so important about them, and why were they actually put on here? Well, the reason why is because we have what's called liquidity. Okay, big MS Paint, dude. Absolutely. It's called an NFT called Squiggles. I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll consider it. So, by the way, I'm drinking non-alcoholic wine, of course, because I would never stream while intoxicated. That's just not very smart. So, I would never do that. But this is why, guys. Okay. Whenever you have a high, okay, when you have a high like this, what this means is that when it breaks above there, a lot of people are going to buy, right? That's the natural reaction. When you make a new high, everyone has that like euphoric feeling of to the moon, right? Everyone gets super euphoric and crazy and it's just going to take off, right? That's what everyone assumes is going to happen. But actually, a lot of times the opposite exists, okay? Because let's say you're a whale. Let's say you're a big player, okay? You can't just go on the market and instantly sell. Okay, you can't just go on the market and instantly sell or go into a ton of short positions. Reason why, you're going to take all that liquidity out of the market. What means is if you, let's say there's only 2,000 Bitcoin in this area, right? If you go ahead and drop a 2,000 Bitcoin sell, you're going to take out not just the one at the top, you're also going to be taking Bitcoin way down here at like 50,000, right? And if you're going to do like a 5,000 Bitcoin sale, you may have to take liquidity all the way down here, right? And obviously, if you're a whale, you like getting the best deal for your sells, right? So instead, what they do is they actually push the price up. Okay, they push the price up intentionally. And then once they break above here and everyone gets super euphoric, people actually buy into your sells because they get euphoric. All right. So what you do is you basically make a buy wall, right? So you will create this buy wall. This is the whale buy wall, right? So what they're going to do is they'll push the price up, push the price up, push the price up, push the price up, right? Now, this massive buy wall, and let's say it's like 5,000 Bitcoins. Okay. If you have a if you have a buy wall of 5,000 Bitcoins slowly rising, well, a lot of people get scared of that for good reason, right? They're like, "Oh my god, I can't." Obviously, the wall's increasing, right? That means that this wall is too big to let it fall. So instead of buying, I have this major support, right? So they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's a 5,000 Bitcoin buy wall increasing, increasing, increasing. This is bullish, right? Oh my gosh, we're going to the moon, guys. This whale obviously wants to make this thing explode." However, all he's doing is moving this position up, 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 up to where the price keeps trying to avoid it. And eventually it breaks above. Okay. Now remember, this whale actually wants to sell. So what does he do? He places his sells, right? And these are actual sell positions. These are short positions. So as you buy, because this massive buy wall is here, right? You actually make the price increase by buying, but all you're doing is buying the sells that this whale has. And after it busts up here and the price comes up here and fills the whale's bids, he then gets rid of that buy wall. And now that support is no longer there. The reason why they bought here is no longer there. The whale has now entered all of his short positions. And then what happens to the market? It crashes, right? Because that support's no longer there. So the reason why it increased because of that buy wall, right? The reason why they bought is because that buy wall was there and you made a new high. Everyone gets super euphoric, right? But instead, all they do is just fill their positions. That's all they're doing. Okay. So that's when I talk about with liquidity. This is the way that buy walls or whales are able to create their own liquidity with your money. Okay. They're going to use your buys to fill their sell positions, and then they just remove their buy wall entirely, and then it crashes. Yes, is a buy wall just a large limit order? Yes, that's all it is. Okay, there's a lot of ways of looking at that. They may go out there and actually like go in there and just buy, and just keep increasing the rate, it up, 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 right? But the overall intention is to create false movement upward, break above here, so people get super euphoric, and then they're going to sell their positions right above this sweep or right above this liquidity tap, right? And as it gets up there, all of a sudden that whale who was buying, actually sells up here. And the ones that got screwed are the people who were buying above this level, right? It's a brutal, brutal tactic, and it's so common. I'm telling you guys, I know it sounds crazy, but this is so incredibly common. It's so common that that's exactly why I was able to draw this, and it worked out exactly the way we expected. This is exactly like, guys, I know the time frame's a little bit off, but look at this. Same levels of support and everything, right? Guys, like this is textbook. Like you can't draw this in any other way. All right. So what's the best way to determine the manipulation by whales? Great question. Very easy to answer. Very easy. Okay. All right. Now think about this. I want you to think about this logically. So if you have this massive buy wall, okay, if you have this massive buy wall that is slowly increasing, okay, the price is going up, but what's not actually happening? Okay, there's one very important thing that's actually not happening as it's increasing. Okay, if this buy wall is slowly increasing and no one is selling into that buy wall, what is not happening here? Okay, and there's something on this chart you can look at to tell whether or not it's legitimate buying or if it's just whale manipulation. There's 26 people in this chat. Someone can do this, I promise. What am I looking for? Boom, AYT312, you nailed it. Volume. That's exactly why. Because if you have a buy wall that's slowly increasing, no one is actually selling this buy wall, which means price is increasing on low volume, right? Okay, price is increasing on low volume, see this, is a negative sign, right? That's why, guys, this is exactly why. When you have low volume increases, that's actually a really good sign to recommend or to notice if it is a bull trap or not, right? Okay, so that's why I tell you guys all the time, volume, volume, volume. So let's look at this. I honestly don't even know if we had low volume on this. I haven't really been paying attention to the volume because I really haven't been trading Bitcoin. That's not really my thing I'm trading right now. All right, so let's look at this. Well, look at this right here. High volume. See that? That means it's a legitimate pump. Come back down. However, this most recent, what's the volume? Very low. You see that? Super low volume. Go to the hourly. Yeah, look. This is high volume. This is the break above. This major break. This is a major moment when we should have pumped above it. But as you can tell, we had low volume. See? That means there was very little actual buy pressure on the way up, and instead all it was manipulation. Okay, broke above, tap liquidity, and then what happened? Soon as we started dropping, what do we get? Even more volume, right? Because this is legitimate sell pressure. This is not legitimate buy. This is legitimate sell. And as you can tell, as we go down, more and more sells, right? So this is actually a bearish sign in general. Okay? And like I was saying, I know the time frame isn't perfect on here, but this chart is absolutely still accurate to what my expectations are. You guys see that? Okay, so my expectation is still us to drop and eventually start tapping this liquidity, because just like we had liquidity on the upside, right? Let's go back a little bit. Okay, so now you guys understand the buys and the buy walls and the well manipulation. Let's talk about this as well. This is a high, right? This is a high. So all these highs are really good opportunities for whales to actually take that liquidity. And as you guys can see, what happened? Tap the first high. What happened? Immediate rejection. Okay. Tap the next high. What happened next? And a rejection. Tap the next high, even harsher rejection. You guys see that, guys? Like I'm telling you, I know it sounds stupidly easy and stuff, but this shit works so well. It's so important to understand. It really, really is. All right. So, hope you guys understand why this liquidity is such an important thing. Like why these liquidity taps are so important. And they really, really are, guys. And that's what I keep talking about on here all the time. I keep talking about liquidity, sweeps, trust the squiggles, right? Which is again about that, right? Over here, look, trust the squiggles, right? Like this, guys. This is so easy. Liquidity is not okay. Now, here's another thing I'm going to talk about here as well. All right. Now, at this point, I was actually getting really concerned at this point, right? Because we came up here, we did not get an immediate rejection, right? So here we were going back up, and I'm like, oh shit, we're going to tap this liquidity. And if we tapped it, that would be a negative sign to the market that we're going to have further downside, right? Because that means all the bullish pressure is gone. However, we never actually touched it, which is why liquidity has not been swept yet, which gives additional reason to be bullish on this dip. If it was swept and then we had this reaction, I'd be more cautious here, right? So basically, as it came up here, it didn't actually sweep it and we started dipping. I said, hey guys, this is actually a bullish dip because we have not tapped that liquidity yet. So I said, this is a buying opportunity, but I'm not saying the same for this. This is not a buying opportunity, okay? Because this bullish pressure is no longer there. This liquidity is no longer there. So now let's look at this. Where is the next liquidity that we have up here? Way up here, 57,000. Okay. That's very high up. That means this entire area is just a big void, right? You guys have heard me say that before. It is a void. This entire region is a massive void. And we need, until we get inside this void and start doing this stuff, this area is basically a no man's land, right? This is basically a no man's land. All right, either way. So this area right here is the primary area that I'm looking for. And as you guys can see, 57,000 also happens to be about the same area as a sweep, isn't it? Right into the golden pocket. So if we do get back up here, I'll be selling like crazy because that's a major retracement zone, right? And so another liquidity sweep would be a very bearish thing for me, right? So that's why, as another reason why, this area for me is a major, major, major zone that I am going to avoid at all costs. Once Bitcoin gets up here, I'm out. Okay, I cannot stress that enough. I'm out. I'm starting to slur my words due to this non-alcoholic wine I'm drinking. It's unfortunate. All right. So I hope that makes sense. Now let's talk about this. Okay. Oh no, back up one. So as you guys can see, liquidity is way up here, but there's no more liquidity, none. Okay. Liquidity has been tapped. There is no more liquidity. This right here, gone. This right here, gone. This right here, gone. Okay. So now what does that leave us? All the new liquidity is down here. See that? Now we have liquidity here, 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 and here. And technically, we have some right down here at around 39,000. Okay. So where's the most likely direction for whales to push this? Down. Okay. Simply based upon liquidity, this should go down. Okay. And until we start tapping some of these levels, I'm going to assume it's going to go down, right? Now, here's the important thing, okay? Let's say we do start dropping down like this and we start going down here, tap liquidity, tap liquidity, tap liquidity. Once all this is tapped, where's the next level of liquidity? Back up, right? Because you make these lower highs, right? So that's this is a high. This is now a new high. This is now, there's probably a high down here probably, right? So now the liquidity is on the top side. Okay. So the important thing is that this is not just one direction. It goes both directions. Okay. It goes both directions, guys. And this is essentially how you get these ranging markets like what we saw back here as well. You guys see this? Exact same thing. Does this pattern we just got not seem pretty damn similar to here and here and here and here? Right? I would say this one's gone. But you guys see this, right? Came back up here, swept it, swept it, swept it, right? And then we came back down and crashed back down. Very similar. This is called a liquidity sweep. Liquidity sweep. Okay. We came back. We formed these series of higher high or lower highs. Come back up here, swept it, crashed it right back down. And where did it go back down to? Swept what? The capitulation candle, as well as tapped the yearly open and swept that level. Like, guys, I know it's crazy, but like this shit works so freaking well. And then what happened after that? Come back up here, started tapping those liquidity levels, come back down here, tap the liquidity levels, etc. Right? It just keeps doing this over and over and over again. This is exactly why this shit happens. And once eventually you have all these levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we kept dropping. Where was the most likely way for it to go? Up. And we did. And we tagged all this liquidity that was formed on the way up. To include this. Is this not a liquidity? Is this not a liquidity? And did we not come up here, sweep it, and then drop? Yes. Of course we did, guys. This is a very simple liquidity tap. That's all this shit is right here. All right. So liquidity is a very, very important thing to understand. It really is, right? And this is exactly how you create these ranging markets. And the ranging markets are very, very profitable if you just remember liquidity. Okay. And you got to remember, whales are the ones who are manipulating this market, right? And you got to remember that. Why are they doing it? To fill their bids. Okay. Now the next question. How, let's say we're looking at this liquidity right here. This one right here. Okay. How would we have known that this was actually not a sweep? How would we have known this is actually not a sweep and a legitimate continuation upwards? What are we looking for? Okay, we got plenty of people in here. What would help us confirm that this was not just a sweep? I will talk about that in a second, buddy. I promise you. How would we confirm that this is not just a sweep? Oh, man. No one? Bueller? I don't just give you guys all the answers. I want you guys to learn from this, right? I talked about this many, many times. That's why I do this. Increasing volume? Okay, that is a good sign that it is, but I'm talking about a confirmation. And I'm saying that word multiple times because I talk about it all the time. What is the only way to confirm something? No. You guys know this. We talk about it all the time. So let's think about this. A sweep is a way for whales to fill their bids. So once you get above there and they fill their bids, they no longer have a reason to keep it up there, right? Right? So they have no reason to stay up there. So at that point, they let that shit crash, right? However, if it goes up there and stays up there, that means it's not a sweep, right? That's all you got to do, right? If it comes up there and stays up there, you can say, "Hey, this doesn't make sense." If it's just a liquidity tap and just a sweep, this thing should have crashed, like we literally are seeing right now. Like this is happening right now as we talk, right? But instead, it just crashed right through. So yes, high time frame close. Okay. Now on this chart, I think a 4 hour would have been sufficient. Honestly, I think a 4 hour would have been plenty. Daily would have been nice. Weekly would have been the best, right? So no, did we get a 4 hour close? No. Did we even get an hourly close? So we didn't even get a freaking hourly close. Look, like that was so bearish. Such an easy play. There you go. And yeah, when liquidity turns support, absolutely. Yeah, and that I agree with you, okay? So you don't just want the close is a really, really good sign. What I would want to see, okay, this is like the best case scenario, right? And I talk about this all the time on breakouts. When you're looking for a breakout, this is the way to do it. Up here, okay, close, high time frame close, come back in. To me, that's a buy because it should be a support. And as long as it holds, when it breaks back above here, that is another buy. So buy on a confirmation of a close, buy on the retracement, buy on the breakout. That is what you're looking for. Obviously, we did not get it. Okay. That's what you're looking for. So, sweeps, they're awesome. Okay. They're absolutely brutal. They're absolutely freaking brutal. They are. They're absolutely just horrifying. They work very, very well. And if you understand the psychology and reasonings behind the whales doing it, it makes things so much simpler, guys. I'm telling you, this shit happens all the time. It's a totally unregulated market. They can do that all the time. Where do you set your stops? Well, so okay, now realistically, here's how I do it. So here's what I do. If my time frame is a 4 hour, okay, and let's say I'm patient, right? Well, first off, I wouldn't be in it unless I got the 4 hour close, first off, okay? But let's say I got the 4 hour close. Let's say I got the 4 hour close above here, and then it starts dropping down below, okay? Until we get a 4 hour close below it, I'm going to assume it as support. Now, once I get a 4 hour close underneath it, I will immediately start to exit. That's it. So usually what I do is I manage my own stops, okay? Especially in the early part of a trade, I will manage my own stops. What that means is as it shows weakness, I will lessen and lessen and lessen my position, okay? Personally, I don't do many harsh stop losses unless I'm doing leverage. If I'm spot, I have enough to play with, right? Because I'm sure as a bro science can tell you, man, whales fuck up your game if you have harsh stop losses a lot. So instead, I like to manage my own. All right. Does it sometimes work out? Sure. Does it sometimes not? Sure. But that's how I play it. All right. So, okay, good news. What are we coming into right now? Right? You see this? So what is this? Untapped liquidity. The downside, right? So as this price comes back down in here, when it hits it, what are we doing? Are you buying here? What are you doing at this point? How would you play it? Tell me how you guys would play this. All right, I really want to get a feedback on what your guys' thoughts are how to play this when it comes back in here, because we're about to get the opportunity really soon. I mean, we're only $200 away. It's not that far away at all. Okay, I'm going to assume that we're going to come back in here. Occasionally, you will make a higher low out of this, but we're so close to this level. I think it makes a lot of sense. We're going to get a drop in here, and it might happen really quick actually. Okay. How would you guys play this? So if it comes down in here and breaks down below here, what do? You would buy it instantly, right? That's what you would do? What else? If it's a low volume drop, well, for one, this is not low volume. Relatively, this is not low volume. Okay, so let's get that out of your mind right now. Okay. But just because it's a high volume right here doesn't mean this is it, right? You look for the sweep. So just like we saw before, what I want to see is I wanted to see this. Sweep it, come back up here, close above it. Okay. Drop, sweep, close back above it. Is that a good sign? Yes. Right? If I'm playing this position, that's great. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. Close back below it, come back up here, sweep. That would be a good long opportunity. Okay. Now, the issue you're going to run into, here's the issue. Where are you going to target on here? Where are you going to target? Well, you have two options. Okay. You have two options. If it gets back above here again, I think it's going to continue up to like 57,000. Okay. So could it come down here, sweep it, then go back up 57,000? Yes, it's possible. Okay. But there's a lot of liquidity down here. See that? All the liquidity. So the bearish pressure is on. Also, this is a lot of volume. So because of that, I would only do a short-term trade if I was playing this. So where would I look to buy into this? I would look for a buy offer right there. And I'd be looking at my retracement levels right here, right? Wherever it drops to for my bounce, right? I'd sell some here, sell some here. And that's probably it. These two spots, right? And then if we get a high time frame close above here, I would enter a larger position and I'd be targeting up in this area. Make sense, guys? And like, this is no shit how we're going to play this bear market right here. Okay. Like, I can't stress this enough to you guys. This is my favorite thing to do. This is my absolute favorite thing to do right here. I love waiting for a sweep and a confirmation and targeting some major Fibonacci levels. This is exactly how I made so much money during the bear market. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. But again, let's say it drops down below here and we don't get it close. What do we do? Or we don't get it closed back above here. You wait. You don't have to be in a trade, guys. No one's saying you have to be in a trade, right? You would wait until another opportunity comes. No worries, right? No big deal. And like, I can't stress to you guys, this is exactly how we're going to make so much money during the bear market. Like, this is exactly the play. I love this play. This is perfect, right? So buying major support, buying bullish market structure, selling at retracements aggressively, and waiting for major confirmation of strength before we get into larger positions is exactly how you make a ton of money in a bear market. It's exactly how. I love it.